because you're playing a game of chess. You're trying to outread your opposition. They just don't stop, and he's just so overpowered. Meta is an understatement. Game. A lot of us overcomplicate it. It starts with mastering the basics. It's good material. What else can you say? What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Mike LaBelle. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you have not touched on or hit the LaBelle, I'm disappointed. Turn on those post notifications. Welcome to 2021. This is our first gameplay breakdown of the year. And if you want more of these, it's simple. Like the video because we're gonna be discussing world champion Huge Gorilla going up against the FIFA savant, 14-year-old Anders, who does not lose ever throughout the weekend league. But many of you ask me, is Anders good enough to win events? Could he be a world champion? Is this the next Tex? Young, hungry, motivated? The simple answer, he would definitely be an active professional. But I'm not going to take away from any of the success stories that we've had throughout the years as a FIFA historian, because it's difficult to win events and have the mental stability, the strength, the fortitude, just the fatigue in order to play pro after pro after pro. So we have not seen Anders necessarily take part in that at the highest level just yet, but he's played in multiple cups, friendlies. This is one of those scenarios. I want to break down the gameplay. I'm going to focus specifically on Anders. If you want this done with other players, comment below which players do you want me to discuss in terms of their gameplay. I don't care if it's a YouTuber, pro player, somebody that you enjoy watching. Plain and simple. Being the analytical and structured person that I am, I put together 5 categories. We're gonna start with how Anders eliminates free turns. It just has a lot of smart 1v1 defending. A lot of us just don't have this in our locker. Shall we begin? And it is worth mentioning that both of these players are in form, and Huge Gorilla has always been gifted and talented as an attacker. Look at the chase down. So when Anders is putting pressure on Huge Gorilla, you can see he's guessing the next pass. He's anticipating. And it looks easier than it actually is, especially when you're almost doing some pump faking, because you're playing a game of chess. You're trying to outread your opposition. Do I think he's going to turn left? Do I think he's going to turn right? And then there's a lot of bait and switch, and then adjusting to the next matchup, because every time that there's a pass that's been completed, you have to make an adjustment, or you have to play this 50-50 game once again. Ronaldo inside the box. Played a really smart 2-for-1. As you can see here, Gorilla doesn't have a lot of options, which is kind of why I wanted to break this down. Not open, off sides. He can go backwards, but going backwards is fantastic for you from the offensive end, or R9 could challenge you. But if he's challenging you, you've got the right player for that type of matchup. A reoccurring theme, always gets pressure on the ball. It's often easier said than done. You see the takeaway with Varane. Basically found himself in a 2-for-1 defensive scenario. I hate Varane, you hate Varane. Gorilla had Garrincha, but if he challenges Varane, he's still in the right place. If he goes for the extra pass, Varane's legs just keep gifting and gifting and gifting. They're Santa Claus legs. I guess we're out of that season now, but if you've got him, they just don't stop, and he's just so overpowered. Meta is an understatement. Next up, we're not done, and I truly appreciate this sequence, because on the defensive end, there's multiple times that Anders gets a good tackle, interception, gets his foot on the ball. I call it almost nibbling at your opposition's feet. He doesn't get it, but it gives you an idea how he's not giving you any free turns, and he's also able to stay focused. It's very difficult for yours truly. This is one of the areas that I struggle. When I make an interception and I don't get the ball, it bounces back. Or if I make a tackle that I feel that I deserve to overtake possession and I don't get it, I get angry. I get pissed off. But look how well Anders does to not only continually shift his players with the player switching, because that's the 3rd time he's touched the ball now. A couple times on Neymar, 1 on R9. He still doesn't have the rock. We're still swinging. Zidane recycles, Davies, Neymar. This is a major defensive stop. He almost gets it there as well. I think he touches that with Mendy versus Garrincha 4 times. Ronaldo. Beautiful, and look at that anticipation. He does a double backtrack. So defensively, he's got Maldini. He's in a very dangerous 1v1 scenario, and he's able to do the guessing game where he over anticipates purposely to try to get Gorilla to force into an early activation or a turn or a skill move, just to miss time or disrupt your timing. Next up, offensive vision 2020. Man's got perfect eyesight. And we might go back to some more defensive examples, but I want to have a little give and take. Check out his ability to pick out players in unusual scenarios here. That ball roll, you don't even see R9. His R9 is running where my face cam is, and also where Anders' face cam is. So if I remove my face cam, you can't even see this R9. You should really look at the radar. So he has a one-on-one matchup right here. You can see this white circle and versus Gorilla's triangle, and he's going to send this through ball Ronaldo to Ronaldo. And the reason he's doing that is because it's the only approach play that he has to go forward and put your opponent under pressure. And if he loses the ball, you can often still team press. You'd be in an advantageous position defensively to force a mistake. Here it is. There's the battle. Bumping, grinding, Ronaldo, ball roll, fake shot, resurface, finesse, back corner. It's good material. What else can you say? The intricacies are there. We continue. I should put my glasses on. Rude Hullet. There it is. R9. He's going to make this pass to Neymar. It might seem obvious, but the way that he turns, he puts himself in a position where he makes defenders commit. And by forcing defenders to commit, it gives you more space, more time. Peep the step over with Ronaldo before that layoff. That's the big key. I know he doesn't score the goal, but you at home think that you'd make the pass, and you might. But you wouldn't have the step over before the pass in order to improve your timing. Forcing high-risk situations. And this is underrated, and it's not noticed when you're first taking a glance of Anders' gameplay. Why is his offense so free flow? Why is it so dangerous? He forces you to have to either step or sit back. You have to make a decision. You cannot just play passively or you're going to get tore up. And if you play aggressively, you're often still going to get tore up. Wait for it. Rude Hullet. Ronaldo. So this is what I'm talking about. Step overs. Ronaldo's now attacking this space. You're already defending R9, which you should do. And now you're left in a scenario. Do you try to backtrack with this runner, or do you step to the ball? It's kind of one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't moments. He steps to the ball. You see the ball roll. Neymar, loosey-goosey, lots of space to work with. The cross does not connect, but it was still a great opportunity, and it's because Anders is putting you into positions where he is dictating the pace of the game. 1 is good, 2 is better. Ronaldo, you see the step overs. That's definitely his thing. Lays it off Mbappe. Just those step overs open up so much. But it's a similar situation. You got a runner here. You've got another secondary player there. You've got Mbappe coming at you at full speed. This is a difficult defensive breakdown or sequence. It just is. It doesn't matter who you are. You've got 3 of the best attackers running at you. They have space. They have somewhat favorable matchups. And at the end of the day, FIFA is a simple game. A lot of us overcomplicate it. It starts with mastering the basics before you get into the razzle-dazzle and the skill move sessions. Mbappe turns you inside. Pretty obvious what he's going to go with here with R9. And then R9's not able to beat the final defender. But it's more so about the build-up being so easy for Anders to get into these dangerous final third or the area around the box. He's getting there with so much ease without having high-risk 1v1s or high-risk passes. He doesn't have to complete those. We're not done. Anders versus the team press. Wait till you see this one. R9. Terrifying. The step overs forces you to step. He forces this decision. You have to move this player. And when you do, lane of space opened up, runner, and look at all of this. He's going to have a field day or a field trip. And this is versus one of the best players in the world. Currently, one of the best players in the world, an in-form gorilla. We're off. There he is, Neymar. Whipped cross, volley, counted. Back to defense and defensive timing in particular, because you got to give credit where credit is due. We talked about some of the 1v1s and the micromanaging of players. Still comes down to putting yourself in those positions. Right here, he's anticipating for this step. He's going to overtake possession. And defensively, if you're going to play aggressively, which you will need to do at a high level, you have to guess what's going to happen well before it happens. And in this freeze frame, Gorilla's kind of stuck. He's got to go forward. And Anders knows that. So he's going to take Kyle Walker. He's going to guess this way. Going forward, it's just not there yet. It hasn't quite developed. And Anders knows that. And that's why I talk about timing and the importance of timing, both offensively and defensively. Overtakes possession. Kyle Walker. And then it starts your attack. And it makes offense so much easier. Still on the line work. Alphonso Davies pulls it back. Gorilla, well done. Through ball into space. This is also going to be smart defending after some mistakes. Gorilla cuts inside. Anders is going to switch players and then step into this lane of space for 2 different reasons. Immediately 2 different reasons. 1, it's the most dangerous area on the pitch. 2, it also puts R9 in an offside position. It's also going to force other attackers to have to fill into this lane of space that you're taking away. There's Maldini. You see the step overs? Look at that. Trying to go for the magical, the spectacular, the fantastique, because he has to. But Cristiano Ronaldo has 5 bodies surrounding him. So it's not that he can't get through, but the percentages say it's unlikely. Highly unlikely. And that's what you want on the defensive side. Last but not least, I'm calling this the meta moveset or the Anders special. You can't necessarily teach this the same way. You either have it or you don't. You developed it. You see the step overs, the build up, but it just is going to interject with everything that works. Beats Davies. You're going to see him use the shield right there with Mbappe, make contact with Davies to make sure that you still stay in a more superior position. It's impressive. After you've seen these step overs, you've seen the 1-2s, you've seen the turn. This goes with a lot. And this is actually going to end up being an offside, so it doesn't count as a goal, but just wait for it. And now he's trying to allow his player to get back into this position. He has to pass it a little bit early. That's why it's offsides. But even here, you got a little split, a double tap. It's in the air, and you'd have the finish. It's automatic. Of course, like I said, offsides, but it's more about the build-up and the move set. And then Anders being Anders. This is what a lot of people talk about with Anders, is some of the step overs and the skill moves and the preciseness and his offensive efficiency. This seems fitting to end on. It's going to be step overs all over the place. Mendy, he's still forcing you, as I keep saying. Here we go. Neymar, loose, lots of space. Step overs, they're coming. Lay it off. Another step over. R9 bangs the post. It obviously doesn't count, but this has to be brought up for a discussion point as to what makes Anders special, is how he not only introduces and utilizes different skills, but he's been able to rejuvenate and shift skill moves in general depending on that skill. What year were step overs this valuable? It's been a staple skill move, but never have we seen it used and abused like this. Someone had to discover that, and then somebody had to take that and really craft it. I'm not saying Anders discovered the step over, but he has crafted it to being the ultimate carpenter with how he's able to get past the midfield. Thanks again for watching. Those are the 5 categories, at least in this individual matchup. When you play that many games of FIFA, you can look at game 1 versus 2 versus 3 versus 4. I don't want to just take weekend league footage because the caliber of opposition is nowhere near the level of playing against professional players, which he's been doing a lot more often, and he is showing up and showing out, so congratulations to him. I also want to give a lot of love to Huge Gorilla. He's having a great start to the competitive year. I only wish health, wealth, and prosperity to not only these 2 individuals, but everyone that's watching. We really appreciate you here, and a lot more content is coming out ASAP. Get in the comments. Do you want more breakdowns? Which players should we be talking about? Put that down below.